as we wait on some of the technical difficulties. Thank you guys.
We'll let you guys know when we're going to start again. We're just going to stop the camera. And then once we start again, that'll just be the signal that we're ready. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Hi, Mr.
Hi,
Khaitan.
Hi, guys.
Yeah, we're ready to start again. We're just gonna, we see you in the audience, Mr. Khaitan. We're gonna promote you to panelist right now.
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay.
Hello, Mr. Khaitan. How are you doing?
Excellent. I think I've joined as a panelist. Can you see me?
Yeah,
Yes.
we see you now.
Yes, and we can hear
Perfect.
you as well.
Excellent.
Because you weren't here for the very beginning where we introduce ourselves, so we're just gonna briefly introduce ourselves to you.
Perfect.
I'm Jessie.
I'm Joanna.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us here today. We really appreciate all of your generosity, and we're really excited to chat with you.
Yeah.
Before we start, we're just going to give a little short introduction to the audience about you.
Yeah. Mr. Khaitan is the co-founder of OMBI, a first-of-its-kind learner social network that offers digital community engagement without the drawbacks of a traditional social network, but with all the advantages a FERPA-compliant ed tech platform would provide, which I think we'll talk about later, right? Mr. Khaitan has been announced to the Forbes 30 Under 30 list for OMBI's work in advancing education. And once again, thank you so much for joining us here today. We're gonna pass the mic to you because I believe we have a presentation.
Yep.
The screen share option is on, so just let us know.
Perfect. And am I on? Like I can go ahead and begin?
Yeah.
Okay,
I think everyone can see, right? Just for the participants, if you guys can see,
please type in the chat box.
Or if you guys can't see, like let us know. Oh, everyone can see. Okay.
Okay. Excellent. And I have about 25 more minutes, 30 minutes, or is it the hour?
You can take however long you would like. We would prefer having like maybe 20 to 30 minutes for some questions. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. So, hey guys, thanks for joining today. Today I'm going to talk about, I guess, a few themes that sort of inspired me in my life and cycle what you fight for. I think it's at least the way, the angle that I'm coming at it from is more for entrepreneurs and change makers. I think you have to be bold, and I think if you're trying to impact and make change, you have to sometimes stand up for what's right and just stand up for things that you believe. And being someone who's young and who worked in the industry, worked with a lot of people with more experience, people who had, maybe even had impact before. And sometimes you kind of come at a crossroad. Hey, do I trust my intuition on something, or do I listen to what this person has to say? They might be right. It's there's a big thing of kind of having confidence on the outside and then also having real confidence on the inside. I think you have to have both in this world. I think you have to be able to present yourself and get people to follow your ideas. If you have good ideas but people ignore them, then you're not really going to make change. You have to be able to attract attention and keep attention. But I think you also have to be courageous inside and be courageous with kind of your thought. So that's what this presentation is about. Some of you may have seen this film. This is Ruth Bader Ginsburg. she, in there were, I think, 178 laws that discriminated against women just because of gender, and it was kind of like a very normal thing. All the judges, all everyone in kind of positions of power and etc. were all men, and it was just like a very natural thing that the woman was like at home, and she was a caregiver, and that sort of thing. Um, Ruth had those rules kind of flipped, and she fought for gender diversity, equality. Um, and if you look at her face in this photo, my question for you guys is: have you guys ever been her face? She's just kind of lit up. Everyone else is very kind of normal, and you can see that she has this ambition and vision in her mind. And if you have ever been lit, like keep that in mind. What is it that got you lit mentally? Um, I think that's very important to track, because it's different for everyone. And this is an organization that I'm a big fan of. This is Brian Hooks on the left. He's the CEO of Stand Together, and on the right you have Charles Koch. Um, one of the things that Charles Koch says, kind of, he's like, what is it that kind of made him successful? Um, and two things. One is that he had the ability to learn things. He was like, I was able to really pursue my um, passions in different areas of life, whether it's like science, mathematics, music, arts, what have you. He was able to really go out and learn things, and then to apply those things. And what he found interesting when he was applying those things to his business life was things that he had learned from an unrelated field, like, came into good use when he was doing business or striking a deal, or doing something completely unrelated. And that's really interesting and important, because it taught me that pursuing your passions and having hobbies outside of work or outside of kind of your main mission in life is completely okay. And it's something actually healthy to pursue. um, when we started our company, we worked really, really hard, like 17, 18, 19, 20 hours a day for the first 2.5 years. It was just like that. We didn't see our family. We didn't really do much, apart from work on the company, because like Elon Musk says, if you guys see, he says, if you work 40 hours a week, and your competitor is working 80 hours a week, in a span of a year, they're over 2.5 times further than you. So you have to put in the hours. I'm a big believer in that. But in terms of learning, I thought this was really interesting, and they refer to this as unique potential. So I'm still discovering my own unique potential. I encourage all of you to kind of try to recognize what your unique potential is. A lot of very good entrepreneurs are very self-aware. So it's important to discover your unique potential, hone it, learn more about it, and then really become good at applying it. I think those are kind of the steps that are important, and everyone, it's different for everyone. So this is me. I graduated in 2016. We started our company Ambi when I was in college, and I'm really into photography. I'm a soccer fan as well. Um, big design fanatic. Um, this is my co-founder Saad. He's the CEO. I'm the COO. We met on our second day of school at Babson College, um, and our the whole learning technology experience was pretty bad. I mean, you guys know how fast Instagram and Snapchat is. You guys know how to use Uber Eats, just a ton of really cool apps. Even TikTok, like it's a pretty nice app. But that whole kind of UX and design wasn't present in learning, and we really wanted to change that. And that's where Ambi was born out of. The website is ambi.network. We've been lucky enough to raise $9.5 million so far. We have about 16 people on our team, and it's one global network. So anyone with the .edu email can sign up, and yeah, you can get connected with the rest of your school. And really, our mission is to allow technology to enable ambition. We feel like too often it blocks it right now. If you want to get off of Instagram and like go like achieve things in your life or go learn things, where do you go today? I'm not going to Google to be an entrepreneur. Like that's super lame. Although it's probably super useful. Like as a student in high school or college, I'd want to join an engaging network that is designed to empower. So that's what we hope to do. This is the platform. Here's how it looks. It's has productivity tools built in. Mobile friendly. So you have a chat, you have a feed. It's like learning. It's like going to school and getting all the information you need, but and it's as easy as scrolling through Instagram. That's the intent. Um, just everything sort of in one place. Easily join clubs, whether it's study groups or campus clubs or what have you. We just want to make that whole learning experience extremely modern and hopefully make it large enough so that as a student, if I'm interested in whatever topic, Ambi can help me discover that topic, help me discover my unique potential, and then actually take courses on the platform, etc. And kind of stay connected for life with everyone who I've met throughout my learning life, with a digital profile that's unique for my education life. If anyone's interested, we're looking for campus ambassadors and school ambassadors. So feel free to apply on our website. Thank you, Angel, for the yes. Um, we're just launching this product. It's a really large platform. We're so happy that it's finally complete. Nothing is ever really complete, but we're proud of where we're at with the tech. So we have about 12 ambassadors right now. We have an awesome ambassador team, and we're launching in North America, so that includes Canada. So visit our website ambi.network, fill out the student form at the end, and we'll contact you. So moving on, just to kind of wrap up, and then we can move into questions. A couple of things that were personal to me, that rules I kind of live by, and it's different for everyone. One thing I would say that I learned from my co-founder Saad. He came up with the idea for Ambi, and the story is really interesting. We're kind of different people. I was always like, oh, like I want to get the latest tech tools to be like super productive and super organized, and I jump on new things as I kind of see them and find them. And I really struggled initially, as it all my peers, to learn how like Google Calendar works, how does Asana work, how do you keep a to-do list, like how do you do all this stuff, like how do you college, how do you adult, like so complicated. Whereas he was like, why can't adulting be simple? Like why can't learning be super simple and kind of sexy? Why can't it be aesthetically pleasing and friendly for the user? And what I define that as courage of thought, like having the courage to challenge the existing assumptions, and having the courage to pursue kind of what you think. I think is a very big deal. And I think it's important for all of us to hone that in, because too often the world is, hey, this is how things should be, and just yeah, like that's how it is. And yeah, just I think honing that courageousness is super important for entrepreneurs and change makers. So what you can be, you must be, and that extends beyond courage. If you think you want to be something, and you think you can do it, you must go and do it. Don't let anything stop you. Um, you only live once, but if you do it right, once is enough. I really want to look back 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 30 years from now at my life, and be like, hey, I'm very satisfied and happy with what I've achieved and what I've done. And I think that requires a large level of focus, and it allows, at least for me personally, it required me to define exactly what I want to achieve. And I think if you can take the time to kind of silence out the world and just define that for yourself, and really kind of go at it, be focused. I don't know if anyone's seen John Wick. He's this awesome movie star, and he's just focused and committed, and he's going after what he wants. And people look at him and they're like, wow, he's a determined man. No one can stop him. I think I don't think you have to come across like that socially every time, but I think deep inside, I think it's healthy to have that kind of commitment to your passions and your goals. And then principles for work and life. I'll explain this at the end. I have a book recommendation, but there's this guy named Ray Dalio. He has a really successful kind of financial firm, and you kind of see mountains here, right? And you see the gem on the mountain on the top right. So he says that every, whether it's something good or bad that happens in life, um, failure is kind of a cycle, right? Like you fail, you feel bad, um, and then you kind of stop feeling bad, and then you get back up. But but in that process, there's a period of learning. And one of my mentors used to say, if you fail and you don't reflect on it, then you've really just, like, that's a waste of a failure. Like, anytime you fail, you must reflect on it. Why did I fail? And principles are and these gems are basically things that you pick up in your life as you go through your life. And Ray Dalio went through his life, and it's like, hey, I got married and I faced this problem, or I started a business and had this problem with this employee, or this happened. But each time you deal with things and you learn things. Okay, so this is a principle for myself that I know to be true, and you kind of write it down. That's the idea of principles. So going back to this, I think I'm trying to record the principles that I'm kind of learning throughout my life, and I think it's really interesting. So now, take a moment to think about your favorite person on this earth, um, the person who inspires you, whether it's former President Obama, whether it's Elon Musk, whether it's Bill Gates, whether it's Steve Jobs. Just whoever your kind of inspiration is. Just take a second. So now, if you could sit down with that person and have lunch and get them to tell you everything about their life and sort of answer any question, like, would you do it? Um, and books are kind of an avenue to do that. And I remember when someone kind of phrased it to me that way, I was like, wow, that's really interesting, because I had this kind of eagerness to go and learn a lot of things about all these people, and this is so true. I couldn't agree with this more. So there's a lot of knowledge out there. It doesn't have to be books. It can be kind of shows. I mean, things are available in so many formats these days, but I do find books to be good because they go deep into how the person thought, or why something was done. And I think that's really important, to start to recognize patterns and kind of inflection points, and a bunch of stuff. So read. Here's some recommendations. My kind of 3 favorite books that I've read. I've read a ton. I don't think you need to read like a book a week. I do audiobooks these days because I'm sort of busy through Audible, but I've read a ton as well. Losing My Virginity by Richard Branson is really interesting. I mean, the guy was like a rock star in England when he was young, total punk, like got arrested actually because he was doing some stuff in his business of taking Virgin Records was his first business. He was driving them across the border illegally, and he got arrested. It's really, but it just shows you kind of doing things my way. Anyways, I think this is great. How I survived, had fun, and made a fortune doing things my way, doing business my way. Highly recommend. It's a thick book, but highly recommend. Just read half of it, even. Ray Dalio Principles. I think I just explained this one. And for anyone into tech, I think this is a fantastic book. Just kind of general tech. And yeah, that's all I got today. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing your this presentation. Definitely feel like the books, a lot of people would keep them noted and start reading them.
Yeah.
Have a few questions actually.
Yeah.
Of course.
We have a few questions from the audience, and then we also have a few questions that we would like to ask you.
Also,
Perfect. So,
um,
so I see the questions from the audience, but yeah, I just saw them. Let me know how you want to go.
oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Just so that everybody else knows what the question is, I'm going to say it out. The first one, although your company is focused on improving technology in education, was there anything that you learned at school that helped you in creating this company?
Yeah, that's a that's a really good question, and I know that's sort of a controversial topic these days. Let me think about that. You know, I actually wanted to include this in my talk, and um, but I didn't, and I'll say it now. Like there's I think two things in school that really helped me and impacted me. One is like really good professors. I went to an entrepreneurship school, so I sort of had the opportunity to like meet entrepreneurs and successful people and that sort of thing as professors. I would try to like learn as much as I can from them. Like I'm pretty sure I would piss them off with the amount I was like, let's go meet, or can I come to office hours? I think you have to have that kind of persistence. And then two is like, at least from my extracurriculars at school, organizations that I was involved in, or what any challenge that I wanted to take on, I would set a really high bar for myself and be like, I wonder if I can achieve that. And then I would just and I wanted to build up a system of knowing that I could achieve what I set my mind to. And I just did that like 10 or 15 times in like different situations. And each time I achieved it. And that gives you, at least for me, it helped give me that internal confidence of like, yeah, I can achieve things.
Right. Thank you for that. I just had a question from your response there. I know from like you were talking about how Ombi was started during your time in college. How would you recommend like people who plan on doing that either in high school or college to like sort of balance? Because I'm sure like university is like very demanding, but
Yeah,
also tackling like
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's different ways that I think you can go about starting a business. I mean, there's so many resources out there that I want to recommend. I mean, I would say balancing it is quite easy. Like you have 24 hours in a day. Like so does former President Obama and like Elon Musk and like Bill Gates and all these people. Um, you know, I think you stay in some nights. You don't go out. Um, you know, you wake up early. You spend time by yourself. It's fine. I think those are kind of some basic things you can do. But then it's like how do you start a business? Like what is the process? Is it this big intimidating thing? And in my opinion, at least what I've learned, like if and when I start my next business, it's going to start with writing down kind of how things function. Um, Not going to be a super big deck or a 20-page business plan, but like a 5-page document, just where I'm going to maintain my thoughts. Here's the target market. Here's how the product works. Here's how we're going to sell it. Here's what I think. And each of those points will be an assumption and a hypothesis of how I think it's going to function. And at least for me, getting those thoughts out onto paper is really important. And then just do what you can. Like while we were in college, we interviewed over 2,000 students, and that was our business for the first 2 years while we were still in school during our sophomore and junior year. Like we were just in class and we were like, hey, like how are you productive? Like we just casually asked questions. No one even knew we were doing anything. And even for us, we were like, let's see if this thing is real. Like, is it a joke or is it just us or does everyone actually have this issue? And then after 2 years, we're like, fuck, everyone's facing this issue. Like, we gotta fucking do it. And then we're like, let's go do it. You know? So there's different ways to go about it. But yeah, start early, start writing, and
Yeah. Just to sort of continue on with this line, you talked about how you did this during university, even though you at first didn't really even know about whether or not you should take yourself seriously. And even now, you're extremely young, and you've done a lot of things. How do you find that your age impacts how people view you?
yeah, no, that's a great question. And I mean, both of you have probably faced this too. um, but yeah, I mean, no, that's a fantastic question. At least in my experience, I think, I mean, whether you're young or old, showing respect to someone else is very, very much the same. I think you just have to be a good listener. Um, One of the things I learned from my co-founder was he's really good at listening to people, whatever they're saying, even if they're completely disagreeing with him, he listens to them all the way, and then he'll kind of take the best of what they have, add in his personality into it, and then come out with something. And I think if you can be a good listener and you kind of have that spirit to, you know, to add your touch to things, I think people begin to respect you no matter how young you are. But I think, you know, you have to respect people, be open to feedback. But yeah, but you know, no one can deny talent. If you're good, you're so good that people can't ignore you. No one can deny that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And I think it's like quite empowering to see like now like a new generation of younger leaders like make like really impressive milestones. So including yourself. So thank you.
Do you want me to go?
You can ask this one.
Yeah. And right now you had just talked about your co-founder. So one of the questions from our attendees is the dynamic different working with a co-founder than like just by yourself?
Hmm. Yeah. No, there's, you know, there's a lot written about this, and in my experience, I mean, depends what kind of person you are. These days, just general startup advice is like get a co-founder for sure. Um, in my experience, it helps. Sometimes, you know, you're not feeling that well, or sometimes the other person's not feeling that well, and you kind of help each other continue. Um, and you know, I got lucky. Like, he's a very logical guy, and he's an amazing guy. And it's just important to not have like flaky people, because like this stuff gets really difficult, gets really hard. And you know, what they say about having a co-founder, it's like you're married. Like that's the analogy that I kept coming across in the startup world. It's like starting a company with someone, you're married to that person for like 4 years. um and that's sort of true. Like you, the company is like your baby, and you guys are just doing everything, and it's like that. So, you know, having someone who's not flaky, like someone who doesn't like, it's really hard, I'm gonna back out, that's really difficult. You know, you want someone who's just gonna push through and go with you. So I got lucky in that sense, that he's not flaky, he's logical. None of us are very emotional, so that's helpful. But I definitely recommend it.
For people who are like seeking a co-founder or someone to start something with together, because for in your case, you knew your co-founder for some time, and you were, like you said, like
Yeah.
lucky to have met a person with his character. Like if you were to look back and looking around you, like how would you assess a good co-founder? Like, are there any like being flaky, of course? Are there any other attributes that you would look for?
Hmm. That's a great question. Yeah. I think, I mean, someone that you respect, like, even if they're co-founder, like, would I want to work for this person? Like, I think that's an important question to answer. Like, do I respect this person enough to like want to work for him? And even if you're not going to do that, like, I think that's a really important question to answer. Um, you know, my co-founder and I were study buddies. We took at least one or two classes every semester since freshman year, and we always studied for exams together and stuff like that. So I got to know him through that. That was just my experience. But yeah, that's a great question.
Thank you. We have another one.
Yeah, we have quite a few other questions. One of our attendees, and I think this was from your talk previously about how you had a mentor who told you to do some things. How did you go about finding a mentor?
Yeah. You know, so I mean, I think what both of you did to put this conference together is largely the process by which you find mentors as well, and that's sort of just by reaching out and being persistent. You know, there's just so much today in the world. You know, I will say that at least for me, the mentor came sort of easy because he was a professor of my course, of an entrepreneurship course. So I had the opportunity to meet him once a week in class, ask questions, and email him about stuff. And I kind of got that chance. But if I did not have that connection, then I would approach it with, you know, my first email wouldn't be, hey, can you mentor me? Because that person's going to kind of be busy. It's like a large part of like forming connections and that sort of thing is like, can I give you value? And you like continue to give. Like that's sort of the mantra. Um, I haven't practiced it much because I haven't done this whole networking thing much, but but I do believe that like you give value to other people and make yourself. I think being formidable is a very important characteristic. Formidable, you can look it up, but it's like it's that thing of being so good that people can't ignore you. People are sort of scared of you because you're so damn good at something. And I think coming across as someone who's formidable, even if you're looking for a mentor, is really important. Um, because it's like, okay, this person's done his research, this person is good. Just come across as formidable. I guess would be my advice. And I think that's an important trait as an entrepreneur as well. Whether you're raising money from VCs or even looking for a co-founder or what have you. I don't know if you guys know this accelerator called Y Combinator. But if you Google Paul Graham essays, he's kind of the founder of YC. It's where a lot of successful startups came out of. It's like a 4 or 6 month program. Airbnb came out of there. Dropbox came out of there. Just a bunch of companies came out of there. And they kind of write about everything that they've learned. They write about deal structure. They write about a ton of things that are just like very startup focused. And again, Paul Graham essays, if you just look those up, and he talks about what are the things that we see in entrepreneurs that end up being kind of the most successful. And one of those traits was that person comes across as formidable. And that really like changed the mindset for me a little bit because I was someone who was very eager. And I think that's a very natural thing. Like you should be eager. Definitely. I mean, you're young, you haven't proven anything. Like who are you to to be like, I'm a big guy. But I think there is a balance of like being formidable and eager. And I think that's where the courage of self-thought and internal self-confidence really comes into play. And also being a good listener. Like it's okay if you tell me my idea is wrong, but I'm confident enough to listen to you and then come back to you with something else. And I think that's important. I hope kind of all that makes sense when you piece it together. Self-confidence, courage of thought, and then really coming across as formidable, being able to present yourself in that way. Whether you're an introvert or an extrovert doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's actually quite interesting. And you sort of briefly touched on it, but how would you encourage teenagers, or what's your best tip for teenagers to sort of come off as formidable or to increase their self-confidence?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. What I would say is like as like often, I mean, I don't know, but oftentimes I would imagine even behind a teenager who's really kind of inspirational, there is a mentor or a supporter, whether it's the mother, whether it's someone in the field. Usually it's someone outside the family, someone in the field. And like, all it takes is one person to believe in you. You can pitch 100, 200 times, and all it takes is one person to get that hit, and then they're with you. And it's like, do you chase it at that point? Do you want it badly enough that you're going to form a good relationship with that person and like actually have them help you? And just know they're not going to do the work for you. Like you're going to be like, and that's how we did it. Like no one did the work for us. We always, hey, can you give me feedback on this specific thing? And we did that with all of our kind of mentors and VCs who we just had a couple at the end of the day. Even though we've had more than, I don't know how many people invest in the company, like I had a couple of really close kind of mentors. And we chase them down for it, and that gives you that courage to go and explore. So I think as a teenager, like all it takes is one hit for you for whatever you're pursuing, and then you just got to chase that. Once you have it, don't let it go. And yeah, and I'll just say that like um like it's gonna be a multi-step journey. Like let's say I have an idea and I'm a teenager, like um I'm going to pitch and it's going to be hard and whatnot, but you have to be dynamic, like along the way. Like, it's not like you have to do 100 pitches and then you're going to find one and then you move on to the next phase. Like you're going to find someone, you're going to keep pitching, you're going to keep advancing with that person and keep pitching. Like it's going to be a very like dynamic journey. At least for me, it was. And I feel like, being, and to be honest, like, um, just being aware of all that stuff as it's happening is super important. I think you have to be ready to be opportunistic and be like, that's an opportunity. I'm going to pounce on it. I'm going to get that. Like, I'm going to go for it. Let's do it. And like those things happen in the moment, like, yeah, I think that's really important. Being ready to like go at opportunity. If you think there's something there, like pursue it. If it fails, it's okay. It's an experiment. Like treat everything like an experiment. But you have to just go for things as they come up. Um, I think that's how you advance quickly. Like I think that's how you take like, a traditional 10-year process, like a 10 years process, and then break it down into like 2 years, because you were so quick at those opportunities and those moments that came, you really grasped them and took them. And like I said, if it doesn't work out, it's okay, completely fine. No one knows. Just you learn something from it, collect that gem as I was talking about, and then just write it down and keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, because you were talking about pitching, right? And of course, like you're gonna like face some rejections here and there. This ties into sort of this question here. Just gonna read it out. This person asked, "What was your journey like with raising funds for a company? I guess through pitching. It seems really challenging and impressive how much you raised. How did you approach the challenges?"
hmm hmm Yeah, it's um, hmm. I think my um, my co-founder led a lot of kind of the big money fundraising that we did, and I think I was always about kind of like quantity. I was always like, let's go out and do this, and I would try to contact a bunch of people and that sort of thing. And it sort of worked. Like we got a little bit of our early investment, but that wasn't the only strategy that got us funding. Um, I think he was really good at like um, iterating from every single pitch that we did. Like, and that's the whole thing about like reflecting on failure. Um, like, like we would have a pitch, let's say for an hour with someone, and he would give us 10 or 15 or 20 minutes of feedback, or just say something, or someone who kind of went deep, someone who was actually paying attention. I would walk away from it and be like, okay, we just have to go try again, or do this. And I would see my co-founder, he would analyze everything that person's saying. He would listen so closely to that person that he would actually learn so much from it and change our pitch that next time it was almost completely different. Or he would know the objections and have answers kind of ready to them. And I just saw how much he took away from like such a small conversation. Um, and I think that's really impressive. And I think I don't think it's, at least it wasn't my natural ability to do that. I don't think it's people's natural abilities to do that in general. Just when you have a failure, I think you kind of want to brush it off. But I think diving deep into it and really squeezing as much as you can out of it. And like I said, actually listening and thinking for yourself um, is super important. So you know, I think if you can do that, then it becomes less and less challenging, because it's all when is something frustrating in life? It's when you don't understand it. Like that's when things are frustrating. It's like, I don't understand this. Like that's frustrating. But like if you listen, you'll understand why people are turning you down, and then it's not that frustrating. It's like, yeah, like you want me to have this, or you want me to work on that, or define that, or you think this competitor can do it better, or you think I can't do it because I'm going to need more money. Like once you understand, you can battle that, and then address that in your next pitch.
So like taking everything not like personally and sort of like growing from that would be like something that you
Yeah,
recommend.
for sure, yeah. And like really listening, like when someone's talking and they're like senior to you or they have more experience, like don't take what they're saying lightly. Like sometimes people are going to say stupid things, I agree. And learn to filter, like, okay, that guy is just like living in 1995 or like this person's actually like, okay, giving me something valuable. Learn to filter that. I think it's easy to filter that when you're there, but just take away like every word that he's saying. And yeah, and yeah, don't take things personally. That's not, I mean, just don't. Yeah.
Yeah. I had sort of another question. You had talked a bit about your partner's role, but I was looking at your website, which, as you said, is ambi.network, um, which for anybody who would want to check it out. And sort of on the About Us page, it says that you are the executor. Could you explain a little bit about what that is?
Yeah. I think that like there's different skill sets that you need to obviously bring an idea and a company to life. I think you have to have someone who's kind of a strategist, someone who's kind of wise, someone who can read the market. And I think my co-founder does a really good job at doing that. And then you have to be able to present your ideas in a way that they're not ignored, and kind of move at sort of lightning speed, and really turn things around overnight, over the week. Use the best tools. Like you guys saw the presentation that I had. That it looked pretty good, but I was using a really good tool, and it didn't take that long to put together. So I'm really good at kind of like using the best in class systems, and just making things sort of happen. Um, and I mean, depending on the phase that you're at in the company, I think it allows you to move really fast. Like when we were in the early stages, and we just had to like there was nothing. It was just us and like our third member. His name is Raleigh, and a few people. Like there was no like this department or that department. We just had to move fast, and it's like, okay, listen, for the next 2 months, like you take on this role, I'll take on this role, and of course, it's not purely like that. Like you're constantly going to interchange, but if you can realize like this person's really good at this and I'm really good at this, like let's just do what we're really good at and let's move really really quick. Then I mean that helped. And I feel like in those days he was really good at kind of reading the situation. He came up with the idea for Ambi, coming up with a strategy. How are we going to raise $5 million when we don't have any users, for example? Like, how do you do that? Or how do you get the first university to take a bet on you, um, when you're a startup, and they're used to kind of big companies in the space? There are, you have to think about how to approach those, etc. So I think we took on those kind of roles early on. And then, as the company grows, you evolve. Like our relationship is that we work really well together. And we just sort of do everything together, or did. As the company grew, that became more and more difficult. Um, some other co-founders have it like you're technical and I'm not. Like I'll be CEO, you be CTO, and they clearly differentiate that. With today's whole remote work thing, I've seen some co-founders also behave more like work colleagues, which I think is totally fine. Like, hey, like you're gonna work on this, I'm gonna work on this. It's just, and then they update once a week or twice a week or 4 times a week. I think that's totally fine as well. For me, he was my friend from college, and we were more sort of like brothers almost, like always just laughing, working. It was always a good time. So every relationship is unique. But definitely being complementary is obviously good. I think we are complementary. Um, and then I think being self-aware is like super important. Just as an entrepreneur in general, like I know I'm good at this and I know I'm bad at that, and I think you have to play to your strengths. And that doesn't mean like I know some people are like something is boring, I don't want to do that. I think this generation sometimes, or at least my generation, the millennials, we get attracted to that instant gratification on things, and we sort of want to do that kind of stuff. um it's so it's like, let's say I'm not good at legal stuff. Like I still have to read like some legal stuff sometimes. That's fine. Like you go ahead and do that. I don't have like a legal team. It's just a few of us. So I think that's fine. You do those kinds of things. You do the things that are boring, etc. But know what you're good at still.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. It seems like startups are, or any company with just like a smaller amount of like people working together, they're like a lot more flexible, and you're kind of
Mhm.
adapting to each other. And on this topic of like adapting, in light of like the pandemic, COVID-19 and everything, how has it impacted Ombi, and also how do you think it'll change education in general?
Mhm.
Because actually Ombi is like a
Online platform.
right, it's an online platform, which is
Mhm.
like perfect for right now, where a lot of people can't go to school like in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I think education will really be accelerated like 10 years in terms of the tech that they would have used. I think we'll see the emergence of a lot more tech that's student centric, because it's going to be easier to adopt. It's going to be more accessible to students. Um, and I think ultimately we'll see much greater outcomes, and kind of AI and machine learning in education, which isn't all that prevalent today, because there isn't enough data to kind of use The algorithms that Facebook uses, for example, to serve you ads, why can't we use that to serve you books and resources, but on a platform like Ambi? So I think we'll start seeing kind of the use of big data in education, which is really exciting because I think every other industry has it. And I think we'll see the emergence of alternate pathways. Like if I finish high school and like when I graduated high school in 2012 and it was like, yeah, you have to go to college next, like obvious thing. And I think it's still like that a lot today. But I think it's going to be into like, oh, I can go to college, or I can take this 1 year program, or I can take this coding boot camp, or I can take this business boot camp. I think we'll see the emergence of those alternate pathways, whether it's after high school or after college, whatever. But I think that's really healthy because I think you want to have that liberty of choice, and that's when the market will kind of drive prices down. It'll drive the best products up, and that's just good. Um, and I hope that'll go towards solving kind of this national education debt problem, student loan problem, because we'll start to see much greater efficiencies kind of across the industry. And that requires learning, requires the workplace to adapt as well. It's like and I think the big tech companies entering this space and making it okay is important. Like Google started the 6-month Google certified program where they certify you in certain things and then they kind of aim to hire you. Amazon started Amazon University or what have you. I don't know the details, but these companies have to be okay with boot camps and stuff like that. So we'll start seeing certificates like, oh, this level of certificate means I'm disqualified, and it's equal to like a higher ed degree, or those kinds of things, and we'll eventually have new standards in the industry. Yeah.
Yeah. Sort of to add on to that, I know that on one of your blog posts on Abby, it said that you guys were sort of evolving your product for the last 2 months, or back in April for the
Yeah.
last 2 months. And I think for this entire world, it's just been a year sort of change and adaptation. Do you have any tips for teenagers on how to exercise their flexibility?
Hmm. Hmm. And exercise their flexibility like in this time of change and that sort of thing. Okay.
Sort of, because there's so much change going on. There's like a lot of
Right.
fear as well that comes with that. So
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. um I mean, like some of um what was it? I don't know this fact exactly, but I think it's my friend sent it to me. Isaac Newton wrote like a crazy amount of papers and like defined like the law of gravity during the plague. There was a plague happening at that time. Like when um, when the market crashed in 2008. Um, um, a lot of people made a lot of money as well. The people who kind of looked at that opportunity. Uh, Opportunity is the wrong word, but my point is that there is always opportunity in chaos, and I think if you look at it from that lens, like here's the thing: like work is never going to be the same. People are not going to return back to the office in the numbers that we are today, just because remote work is a lot more efficient. Like the world is changing, so find websites where you can read about that change, keep up with it, and then apply it to your generation. Like you guys know teenagers best. Like everyone my age is trying to figure out teenagers. Like it's hilarious. Like when I post something of like, here's how Generation Z is, everyone pings me like, where did you get that? Can you please tell me? Like it's hilarious. And like when I was like you guys' age, like I was like, yeah, millennials, like this is how we are and stuff like that. And it was just normal. And like if you think about it, like Ambi was created with the millennial in mind. It was like, I don't want to use all this like shitty software. Like I want to use something that's kind of sexy and nice. I'm gonna make Ambi. Like Ambi was born out of that. And like now look at it. Like everyone in the education industry is like, wow, this is super cool. Like so well designed. Can we use it? So just sometimes things are right around you. Just read about them, grab them, take them, go with it. Like use. Yeah, I mean it's great. I think it's great. This time. Like, I mean, it sucks what's happening physically to the world. That's awful. But like, from a business and advancement perspective and personal growth perspective, like, you can take like 10 Coursera courses on like whatever topic you want just because you're stuck at home, and you can become good at it. And one of the other things that I believe in is like getting ahead early on. It's like at least for me, like here's how I looked at things when I was in college. I was like, at some point I'm gonna have to get married and I'm gonna have to have a family. I mean, you don't have to, but I thought I would one day, and I will hopefully. But um, I was like, I'm gonna have to go through those phases. And why would I want to like start working like later on in life? Why not begin working earlier on in life? Kind of achieve the things that I want to achieve earlier on in life, and then have more flexibility later on in life. It's kind of like, if you invest $10 every month and you start at age 10 versus like 30, like you're gonna end up with like the compounding interest rule. So I look at work the same way and starting early the same way. And I just started early. I started probably 3 years earlier than a lot of my peers, and it helped. So I mean, just get ahead. Like I think it's so worth it to get ahead, even if you work on just a single page document for 3 years, writing down your thoughts or business ideas, but start building on something. And I think there's a tool called Notion.so. Just it's called Notion. It's a great note taking app. It's kind of a new thing in the tech world. Um, I use that over Apple Notes. Um, some of my friends use Apple Notes, but yeah, just start building. Like get ahead.
And then another question that is sort of like linked to what we were talking about as like an entrepreneur and how to like succeed. Do you think that the ability to persuade others and negotiate is important as an entrepreneur?
And
Yeah, that's
yeah.
mhm,
And in particular, how do you think teenagers like us can sort of start learning these skills and adapting them into everyday life?
yeah. At any time I met someone who was like successful in business, or someone that I looked up to, I would always be like, hey, what books do you recommend? And they would just tell me like the books that impacted their lives. I would watch videos of like Jack Dorsey, who's the founder and CEO of Twitter and Square. And I would like watch his keynotes on YouTube that he gave at schools, and what have you, on like the books that impacted him. And I would write all of them down and pick them up and read them. And what that does is that gives you the insights into like what formed the basis of how a lot of these people think. And that was really valuable, because I could use those same tools to form my own basis, and my own way of thinking, which hopefully can impact others. So just I would say just read. I mean, if you want to learn how to negotiate and public speak, read Dale Carnegie's books. um, he's the guy who wrote How to Win Friends and Influence People. There's a book written by a former FBI head of negotiations on how to negotiate, because he negotiated with terrorists and won. Talks about everything. So just read. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like something that is people are putting more emphasis on, like reading, and
Right.
not just for like enjoyment. I mean, enjoyment is like reading nonfiction. Fiction is like a lot of fun as well, but reading for like
Yeah.
self improvement is like something that more people are like paying more attention to, which is actually
hmm
really great.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I read Game of Thrones, the book, like some of it. You can do fiction too. Just yeah.
We have just another two questions from our attendees. One is going back to sort of having a co-founder. Do you and your partner ever get into conflicts? And if you do, how do you resolve them?
hmm hmm Yeah. I mean, I think that's where like maturity comes in, and that's where you have to be able to separate your emotions from work. Um, I mean, our like conflict is always like I think this, you think that, right? And it's like, why do you think that? Here's why I think, like, and if you can listen to each other of like why both of you think something, and then just keep asking why, and start debating what is the best kind of thing to do, without emotions, without taking personal offense of like, I always have to be right, you've been right, like, I have to be like, none of that. Just emotionless, logical. So I think that's where I say I got lucky. And I'm also like a non-emotional and very logical sort of person. um so I think that's important, and I think conflict is healthy. I think failure is also healthy. Like um um going into Principles, the book by Ray Dalio, what he says is, in his company, when something was failing, or just something, there was conflict somewhere, there was tension somewhere, that was um, an indication that something in his system wasn't functioning properly, or that they were getting to a new place or a new height, and it was something that needed fixing. So he actually viewed conflict and tension as a really good thing. It's like, okay, we're growing. Here's an unaddressed need that we haven't solved for yet. Let me get to the root cause of that conflict. Why is this conflict happening between these two people or between me and this person? What's the root cause? Let me fix the root cause, and then, and then you keep building. So I think conflict and tension and a little bit of failure is really healthy, because it's one of those things that shows you're moving fast, it shows you're growing, and it shows you're not playing it safe. And I think if you look at conflict from that lens, I think it's really good. And one of the other things I'll say about pitching, and kind of getting like mentors and what have you, let's say I pitch to a VC and they give me feedback and they turn me down. Like, as you're building a business, think of it as getting free advice from the world's most valuable minds. And like, who wouldn't want to pay for that? Like, people pay consultants, like, I don't know how much money to give them the same sort of advice, that you're in a room with them and they're just telling you, hey, this is why I think it doesn't work, or this is what I think you should do. That's like free advice for your business. Like, take it all and just keep going. Yeah.
So I guess like in general also, like we were talking about growing from criticisms and just not letting conflicts like get in the way, which is actually something
Right.
that
I agree.
needs to be like practiced, like, because sometimes it's like hard to separate that personal and like work.
No, that's right. And I think if you can approach it head on and see it as that healthy thing, and really, like, also, like, one rule that I have is never, like the concept is never break up with your girlfriend over text. Like, just don't do that. Like, never cancel a plan, never do anything tough over text. Like, call, or see the person face to face. I think that's really important. So just being able to face it, like don't hide behind something. When you're canceling a plan, I always call, like, hey, I can't make it for dinner or whatever. I never text. Like, and that's just a good rule. It helps you confront things in other parts of your life.
It's sort of like the little steps that lead you to be able to make the bigger ones, because like doing something like canceling over call is not as, I think, of a big thing as like facing all the criticisms you do if you get like a lot of feedback or rejection from the VCs. But
I think that is all the time we have for today.
Thank you so much for answering all of our questions. Again, such an honor to have you here with us and talk to us and share all of your sort of inside secrets with us. I'm sure everyone in the audience has learned a lot, just like we did.
Yeah, we certainly did. And it was definitely a very valuable experience. You are our last speaker for this year's summit. So
awesome.
Yeah, we ended on such a positive note, and we're really glad to have you here, spend like a precious hour of yours. So that's like our honor.
No, thank you. And this was a great summit. I'm glad all of you are learning about this. I think opening it up this year was a great idea, to kind of everyone. And, I don't know if you guys are in middle school or in high school, but we are looking to get Ambi into these kind of networks. So if you're interested, visit ambi.network. Go to ambitious students at the very end, and then just sign up. Our ambassador recruiter will contact you. And if you want to get how do you adult, that was one of the questions. I think you connect with like-minded people and consume information and keep yourself organized, and Ambi helps you do that.
Yeah, of course. And to all of our audience, we'll be linking the websites and everything.
Yeah, we'll be sending out an email to all of you through Eventbrite, and it will have links from all of our speakers.
Yeah. So thank you, Mr. Khaitan. Thank you so much. See you. All the best to you.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you.
Goodbye. And to all of our attendees, thank you guys for coming. Thank you for asking amazing questions. It was such a joy to have you guys all here with us. Thank you for taking time out of your extremely busy weekend, where you're supposed to be relaxing, to come and watch this event.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll be sending emails, follow-up emails. This entire thing will be posted on our website, which of course will be in that email. And then I think that's it for this year. And I hopefully we can
do this
again you guys
next in the future. So stay updated. Continue checking up our website and Instagram for any
Updates.
updates. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.